Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, ladies, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted episode 45. I'm excited to be here with you all today and wrapping up our movie-inspired series this month of February. It's been really fun to be able to just look at movies from all kinds of different angles and really see the ways that, what I've pulled from them and also hear what you guys have pulled from them. So I'm excited to be here today wrapping that up. It is kind of a cold and dreary day outside. We in the Northern California area have had so much rain this year, which has been amazing because we've had a pretty bad drought the past few years. But what I realized yesterday when I was sitting with clients is how much the weather is really impacting people. We have had probably about 2 to 3 months of rain and like days and days and days of rain to where I actually sat outside and ate lunch, I think 2 days ago. And I was shocked that there was sunshine. Like it was like surprising to notice that sunshine was out. And I realized that, all of you listening are all in different parts of the world. And there's some of you that are in snow and sub-degree temperatures for many part of the year. And I thought, irregardless of where we live and what our kind of, climate looks like, I think it's so important for us to be aware of how the weather impacts us. I know that what I've been seeing with my clients and also with myself is just exhaustion, not being able to have that great vitamin D and the sunlight and the warmth and all those sorts of things that day after day, it really takes a toll. And obviously we know this based on psychological research and all those sorts of things, but it is interesting when there's a climate that's used to a lot of sun to see kind of just the shifts in everybody's moods and energy levels and things like that. So I think the biggest piece that I have been trying and also working with my clients on is not this push through mentality where we've got to, we're exhausted, we don't feel like ourselves, and we've got to push ourselves even harder, irregardless of how we feel. And so what I really want to share with you guys today too is to give yourself permission to not push through, to not just be trying to bulldoze past that exhaustion and really pay attention to what's happening in your bodies. And if you need to slow down, if you need to take a 15-minute nap, just give yourself permission. I actually had a great conversation with somebody the other day, and I was talking about just sitting for 10 minutes and just closing your eyes, not sleeping or napping, but just closing your eyes for 10 minutes. And they thought I was crazy, first of all, that would actually help. But I have been trying to do it on my own. And it's amazing to me that when I just close my eyes for 10 minutes, that the energy I have the rest of the day, I don't need those kind of, the sugar pick me up or the coffee pick me up. And so I just want to encourage all of you, if you're noticing that the dreary months of winter are dragging on, that, be mindful of that and pay attention to it because it is significant. I know that the beginning of winter, it's always so fun and cozy, but once we get to February and March, it starts feeling like, all right, I'm ready for some warmer temperatures. So I thought I'd just bring that up because it definitely felt relevant to me and the folks that I work with. And I'm just noticing that my energy isn't where it usually is. So just being mindful of that piece. So that is my public service announcement on seasonal affective disorder and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, even if it's gray outside. So let's shift gears here for a second. Like I said at the beginning, we have been spending the entire month looking at different movies that have inspired me to just look at the life from a different angle and myself from a different angle and my habits and my behaviors and all those sorts of things. And so our last movie to wrap up the segment is actually the movie Sing. I was actually talking to a couple friends about this series that I'm doing. And I said, I need a 4th movie. I've got these 3 movies that just stood out to me so much. And what should I do for the 4th movie? And they all recommended that I go see Sing and write it off as a business expense and market research. So I took my kids last week and we went and saw it. And it was so much fun. We actually went during the middle of the day, which we don't usually get to do those sorts of things because we've got lots of other stuff going on. But we went during the middle of the day and we went to this super cool new theater that's got these reclining chairs. I don't know if you guys have these in your city yet, but oh my goodness. It was like the total experience. I brought their blankets and stuffed them in my purse, and we just kind of relaxed and spent a nice afternoon at the movies. And I think there was one other couple in the entire movie theater to see Sing on a Thursday at 12:45. So it was kind of fun that way. And the movie was just great. I love music, and there was just a lot of fun music and a lot of great, just different, characters in the movie. And I encourage you guys to see it because it was a fun one. But I really want to share of what stood out to me for the movie. And what I've tried to do with this whole series is not to do any spoilers, right? Is to let you still go see the movie. And so I will not spoil it for you. But if you've seen the previews, you will definitely get an essence of what I'm talking about. But this movie is obviously it's a singing competition that this koala, I believe it is trying to bring back his theater that is just, going bankrupt and miserably failing. And so he tries to do a singing competition to raise some popularity and some awareness and some money. And of course, there's 8,000 things that go wrong for the poor guy. But what is so interesting is that the cast of characters that he has is all these kind of misfits, I guess you would call them, these people from all different walks of life that don't realize their gifts. So they're kind of living smaller, right? They're kind of hiding from this amazing gift that they have, these amazing musical voices and all these cool things. And so they kind of come in as this band of this hodgepodge, I should say, of people, but with just amazing voices and amazing talent. But anyway, so it all comes together, all these guys and these gals that have these great voices, and they're struggling with being able to stand up on the stage and own their gift, own their passion, right? Sing from their souls. And he really encourages them and helps them being able to develop this. But what stood out for me so much with this movie is this kind of this reoccurring theme of doing what you love, because then you'll be great at it because you're going to love doing it. And I so believe in that sentiment. It's what I have built my life on, right? Is that I try my hardest to do what I love because I know that I'll be great at it because love doing it, right? And there have been times in my life where I haven't been able to tap into that energy for whatever reason. I didn't know what my passion was. I wasn't following that hell yes, as Gina Ballard shared about in her podcast, but I wasn't following that energy, that juice, right? And so what was happening is I not only wasn't doing what I love, but I wasn't being great at it because I wasn't loving doing it. And I think that especially as women, no matter what role we find ourselves in, whether it is as partner, as mom, as sister, as daughter, as an employee, as friend, whatever role we find ourselves in, is make sure that you are finding that you're loving it, right? Because you're going to be great because you'll love doing it. And I think that that is such an amazing focus for us to have. When I talk with people about, kind of what we talked about at the very beginning, this push through mentality of feeling like the to-do list is so exhaustive and there's no way to let up, because they just have to go, go, go. And they're pushing through sheer exhaustion with just a horrible outcome, right? And when I talk about this idea of actually that we don't have to do all the things on our to-do list, that I get a lot of looks like I'm crazy. And I realize that I get looks like I'm crazy often, right? That's nothing that's outside the norm. But what's so fascinating to me is that when I say, hey, you don't have to, push through and do everything, that you can actually remove some of the things that you hate doing, that is actually possible, right? And that, yes, that we do have to do laundry and we have to go to the grocery store and feed ourselves and all those sorts of things. But if we can find a way to do it in a timing that works for us, that we can actually have a lot more energy and motivation to do it because we find a way to love doing it. Like I said, I love listening to music. And when I'm doing things around the house and getting dinner started and these things that start to feel more like chores and tasks versus something that I'm really, enjoying doing, I try my hardest to slow down and turn on music because it changes the whole mood of what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, preparing food for myself or my family feels less like a chore and more like something that I can be really great at because I'm loving doing it. And so whether it is the smallest task like cooking dinner or the biggest task of running a business, that no matter what it is that you'll be great at it because you'll love doing it. And we have to follow that juice. One of the things that, I think stops us from actually following that energy and really diving into making our passion our life purpose and being really soul satisfied with it is that we let that fear, stop us from doing the things that we love. And that fear really is believing that deep down, we don't have what it takes, right? That here's what I love. Here's where my passion is. And when I let fear control that, when I let fear hold me back, I'm really buying into that idea of believing that deep down, I don't have what it takes to be able to make it by living my passion, living what I love doing. And they talk about that in the movie. And I thought that it was so powerful, right? We talk so much about fear. And do you listen to fear? Do you pay attention to fear? Do you bulldoze fear over? Like, what do you do with fear? But having it described in this way is that fear is believing that deep down you don't have what it takes. Just stopped me in my tracks. I was like, holy smokes, that is so, so true. That when we listen to fear, when we let it guide us, it really is us buying into this idea that we don't have what it takes. And I just want to stop here for a second and remind each and every one of you that you absolutely have what it takes. No matter what your passion is, no matter what your great love is, that you have what it takes to be successful with it. I know it to be true. I've seen it time and time again in my life and in other people's lives that when they live what they love, right? When they are doing what they love, they're exceptionally great at it because they're going to love doing it. And it's because they realize that deep down, they actually can do it. They have the gifts to offer. They have the passion to create energy behind what it is that they believe in. And that fear is really believing that you deep down, you don't have what it takes. And to me, that's a toxic place to spiral down to, right? And that if we are finding ourselves believing that fear is true, that deep down we don't have what it takes, I really encourage you guys to reach out, whether it's to me or somebody else, reach out. Living in a reality where you really believe that you don't have what it takes is probably one of the most toxic places we can stay. And I get that we can dip down there at times, right? We can dip down and fear can get loud and the chatter can get really intense. And that's a normal part of fear, right? But when we start believing that fear is true and that we don't have what it takes, that's when it becomes really, really dangerous because we start making life choices based on fear and we get smaller and smaller and smaller and we aren't doing what we love and we're not great at it and we're not passionate about it because it's not truly who we are and who we are meant to be on this earth, that is a really dangerous place to be because all of our choices are impacted. And so I really encourage you that if you're finding that reality, if you're finding the reality of going, oh my gosh, I don't believe that I have what it takes, please reach out for support. Isolation is like a cesspool. It's like a petri dish for growing that fear. And so knowing that you guys are struggling with that, any of you listening today, or you know somebody that is, please reach out. Don't let them be in isolation. Don't let yourself be in isolation because that fear will just get bigger and bigger and it'll actually start exactly what fear does is it starts becoming our truth and the lens that we see through the world. So I just want to kind of include that piece because that's really stood out for me in the movie. And it just made me realize that I wanted to make sure that everybody who's listening is able to hear those words that you do have what it takes. And that if fear is so big that you're listening right now going, she's crazy. She doesn't know how I don't have what it takes. She thinks she's got what it takes and maybe she does, but she doesn't know me. I do know you. I do know what it's like to be in a place where you are listening to fear and that you don't believe you have what it takes. I know you and I want to hear from you. I want you to reach out. I want you to reach out to me, to somebody, because being in that place is not a place that will allow you to make healthy, bountiful decisions. So that piece is there. But the last piece that I want to include from this movie that really stood out to me and the part that I just loved was obviously the movie comes together and everybody's watching the amazing talent of these singers that are kind of part of the show. And their family members are obviously seeing them. And for those of you that have seen the movie, I'm sure this stood out to you too, but the looks on the faces of the family members, it was like they were seeing their loved one, right? Their singer, their celebrity in the making for the first time. And just the look on their face, if you really pay attention to it, is one of this kind of disbelief of like, you look like my family member, you talk like them, but you're not acting like them, right? You are so big and so passionate and you're great at what you're doing because you're doing what you love. And it was almost like their family was seeing them for the first time. And to me, it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And they captured it wonderfully on all these little animated, animal faces. But it made me think about times in my life where I have felt unrecognizable to myself because I'm living my passion, right? And it's like, who is this person in the mirror that is energized and who is making healthier choices and creating healthier relationships? Who is this person? I don't recognize her. And it's because I was following and trying my hardest to follow my passion. And I've also had experiences with friends where I don't look familiar to them anymore. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, the friendship has outgrown both of our needs. And it's not a right or wrong issue. It's that we've outgrown each other for whatever reason. And I know that there's been times in my life where my friends have outgrown me, right? That they've gone through changes and transformations where they're living their passions. And that's an amazing thing. And I don't fit for them anymore. And I know also being able to have those conversations with family, because it is amazing when our family and our loved ones look at us with these eyes of newness. It's almost this novelty of like, wow, I didn't know you had that in you. You have this great gift, this great passion to share with the world, and you're actually doing it. And it is a beautiful thing. And so I really want to encourage all of you that as you start making these choices to really live your passion, to do what you love because you are going to be great at it, because you'll love doing it, that as you do that, look in the mirror, look to see who is staring back at you. I guarantee that you are going to be amazingly just overcome with what you see. And also recognizing that your family members may be looking at you from a different lens, going, who is this person that is so passionate and so energized and so inspired and so inspiring to be around? And so I really want to encourage you, as you lean into this idea of doing what you love because you're going to be great at it, that you're going to look different. And that's an amazing thing. And really encourage yourself to look at yourself differently, but also take in the warmth and the encouragement of others looking at you differently. Because when you're showing up differently, it's probably because you're living your passion. So I want to just encourage you guys all with that today. Today's a short podcast. I just want to share kind of the last movie that inspired me this month. And I'm excited for next month's segment. It's a really, really fun one. I've got some great guests who are coming on, and I cannot wait to share all of them with you. So that is all I have for today. I encourage you guys to really lean into living your passion and to encourage yourself to look into the mirror to see how different you look when you're following that energy. That is all for me today. Do please reach out via the SpeakPipe app to Anna at Her Life Unscripted. I would love to hear from you guys. And also, we have released the final information, the registration information for our Shine Retreat is out there in the world. So please do go to shineretreatforwomen.com. And you can look at all the registration details. We are starting to get our first registrations. It's only been out there for a week and people are starting to sign up. And I just cannot wait to meet all of you. So thank you so much for letting me come into your worlds and into your hearts today. It's always an honor and a privilege. And I am excited to hear from you guys as you share your stories about living your passion and how amazing you are at doing it because you love doing it. Thank you so much. Take care.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna at herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.